people, go and ask as many wealthy people that you know, ask them what's their net worth. They will struggle to tell you. You know why? Because they've never at any point sat down to put everything together. I have one land in Banana Island, another one in Dubai, one in the UK. You don't know the value of these things. I have an art collection. I don't know the value. I have gold collection. I don't know the value. I bought stocks here and there. Nobody has really done any consolidated reporting to say this is the value of all the assets, all the things that you've invested in. This is what you're worth.
Welcome to Omon's Couch, an entrepreneurship and career talk show where we'll help young entrepreneurs and professionals reach their full potential. My name is Omon Odike, your darling host, and I'll be bringing you amazing guests who have seen it all to educate and inspire you with their beautiful stories. Let's go! Our guest today is a family business advisor and a business and executive coach in Nigeria, boasting over a decade of experience in corporate finance and business strategy. As a revered speaker, author, mentor, and trainer, her influence has driven transformation across diverse Nigerian sectors. She delivers top-tier strategy consulting and wealth management for African family businesses, excelling as Group Chief Financial Officer at Coronation Group. She also worked extensively with KPMG, serving many multinationals and blue-chip companies. Her accolades include being among leading ladies' African 100 most inspiring women, and as a Forbes Business Council member, she is dedicated to positive change and nurturing kingdom businesses in Africa. She's none other than Mrs. Abiola Adediran. Let's welcome her to Omon's Couch. Hi,
hello,
Abiola. How
Omon.
are you? Great
So
to
good
see you.
Same here.
Wow.
Happy to be
Looking
on
nice.
Omon's Couch.
Finally. Great to have you.
Thank you so
Please
much.
sit down. Thank you so much for coming. You look amazing.
Thank you.
And how have you
gorgeous
been?
yourself.
How have you been?
Very well.
Welcome to Omon's Couch, finally.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward.
We're honored to have you.
Thank you.
So, Abiola, I'm sure our audience are very excited to have you, to see you on my couch, and they can't wait to delve into your entrepreneurship journey to understand who is the face behind Abiola, the brand Abiola. So I am excited. I can't wait to hear all the good stuff that you have, and I want to learn, and I'm sure the viewers want to learn. So Abiola, you've actually had a very wonderful career. You've worn so many hats, from being an executive finance person and having a finance background to being a business coach, and now you're a family business advisor. How did you come about all these accolades, and where did you start from? Tell us. We are wanting to know how you moved on from all the different phases of your business.
I actually think that I've kind of come full circle. You know, I started out being a science student.
Science student.
Interestingly,
Okay.
yeah. And while I was in the university, I just happened to, meet some accounting students who were writing ICANN, and they would always talk about how very difficult the exam was.
Okay.
So out of curiosity, I said, you know what, I'm going to write that exam. That was how I started my
Wow, wait, I
ICANN
don't
journey.
understand. You went to school to study science.
Yes.
And because you overheard people talking about how difficult ICANN was, you just pivoted to ICANN.
Interestingly,
to finance.
Interestingly,
Wow.
my course required me to pick some management science courses.
Okay.
So I did a bit of accounting.
In it, okay.
So that was how I even got to know, a lot of those
little,
accounting
yeah.
students, and we got into that conversation. And I told myself, okay, so I'm already doing some accounting courses. I might as well be a chartered accountant. I don't even know where that came from, but it was a challenge, at the time, and I wanted to just, give it a
so
try.
more of an challenge than an interest. As such. Did you even understand it?
At the end of the day, it really was. But I enjoyed the challenge, and it was really those days where you will have a lot of ASU strikes. So I had a lot of time on my hands, and I really just wanted to do something. So ultimately, when I was leaving school, I was both a chartered accountant and I had a BTech in project management. So I was already doing a mix of the two. Interestingly, I've always loved numbers. So being in the finance space was just a natural for me. So I started out in investment banking and then did a stint there, then went into full-time consulting with KPMG. I was an auditor for a lot of years and I was auditing banks.
Definitely.
The numbers, you know.
Yes, all finance.
I'm telling you. So
maths.
I was auditing banks, asset management firms, basically financial institutions, right? And I did that for quite a bit until I was tired.
For how long?
About 7 years.
Okay.
I was a manager when I left KPMG, and I then went into investment management proper because I wanted to understand the business aspect of things rather than being the one telling people what to do. I wanted to be at the back end, but of course making money, like making money. Understanding how money is made. Do you see? That was a part that was really very interesting to me. So I went into that. I got this fantastic role. I was made Group CFO of Coronation Group at the time. Yes. And what that also meant was that was another big jump for me.
Yeah.
Because ideally, people that will leave my level.
Wait, and you went straight to becoming a CFO?
Group CFO.
Wow.
Yeah. What that meant is that you're not in charge of one company. I had about 16 subsidiaries.
16?
Reporting into my role. So you are doing consolidation of all the numbers and everything. So it was a big role, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was,
right?
Definitely.
And that was really a big heart, a big shoe I had to step into. But of course, I think I've always just loved challenges.
Did you know that you were going to get that? Okay, you actually applied for the role.
I did. I was.
Or you were headhunted?
I was kind of headhunted for it.
Okay.
Right? And so it was like, I'm just a woman for the job. Really. I love to blow my heart.
And you were not afraid or anything?
I really was. I won't say I was not afraid.
Okay.
But despite the fear,
you were ready to take on the
I felt
challenge.
like I needed to do something that would pull me out of my comfort zone. I remember that while I was still in KPMG then, I felt like the walls were closing up on me. I was feeling like I've done everything.
You could do more.
You know, so I felt like the space was a bit small. And so I wanted to do a lot more. So when I was thrown into this big ocean, I needed to swim out of it.
Yes.
And I think that thing that I always wanted to do more just came out. And I was just learning. And I loved the fact that I was learning new things, challenging myself, managing people that were way older than me. In most meetings, I was usually the youngest.
Wow.
You know,
and how did you fight that dynamics?
It was interesting because I think KPMG also prepared me for a lot of things. From my second or third year, I was already sitting with CEO of banks, you know, talking about their financial statements and the things that we had found. So my confidence level had grown. I was already training.
Your skills were already built.
They were already built. You know, I had the training as well. I mean, I was training up to partner level. You know, in KPMG, I mean, I was training partners, senior managers and all. So I had the confidence. I started training from my second year, you know, as an associate, right, in KPMG. So
how's that possible?
I just love it. I love.
So interest you drove, I mean, in KPMG as an associate, you're training partners.
So it was sort of like a growth journey.
Okay.
Before I started training partners, that was almost like my penultimate year before I left. But at least I had gotten to that point where I could face partners, group of partners, and train them on something.
Exactly.
You know, so that had built me up to the point that by the time I left and went into this bigger ocean where I'm now rolling with even bigger guys and older guys, I didn't feel out of place, sincerely. And the feedback I got was that I even appeared a bit too confident.
Wow.
You know.
What was that supposed to mean?
I mean, really, like, you owned the space.
Okay, in a positive light.
I got. That was what I got. Like, you owned the space like you've always been here. I'm like, I'm not even doing much. Like, I'm just being in my element. So I feel like what I'm doing right now was just it was a process that was really just being built on. And then interestingly, when I then...
You're being groomed, you're being prepared.
Groomed into it, you know. So when I went fully into investment management and all that, consulting never left me. So I typically will have people still call me, Abiola, there's this business idea, what do you think about it? I'm about to apply for a loan with BOI or with a bank. Look at my business plan. Or please, could you quickly do this financial model for me? Come up with a 5-year whatever projection for me. So I kept seeing those things.
Opportunities,
And so some I would do
but you're able to identify them.
Yeah, some I will do pro bono, some I will charge a little token or something for my time. At some point, I'm like, you know what, this can be a business. Really. Can we just make this a business? So that was how my consulting practice started, right?
So you resigned?
I did.
As a group? Okay.
I was doing it pari passu.
Yeah.
So it was more like I had like 10% of my time that I could use for those sort of things.
Free time,
and I did that. It wasn't only just free time. I think I had to also create time for it. So typically you find me working on a Saturday and Sunday. I don't advise it to anybody, but I mean, if it's something that you just, you're passionate and you enjoy,
you'll find
because
it
for
easy,
me, it didn't even look like work. I just felt like I was helping somebody. I was helping somebody build his business, help somebody's business to grow. And so for me, it was just passion, really. Even though the passion, of course, was bringing money.
Exactly.
Which is important.
Yes. You see the numbers.
Absolutely.
And now you're a family business advisor, and not just one, but the very great, prominent, influential one.
Absolutely.
Because there are very few of you in the country, Nigeria, even around the world, but mostly here we don't really have a lot of people in that industry. How have you been able to weather the storm? How have you been able to see the business as a thriving business and actually get your customers?
Interestingly, I got into the world of family office while I was in my role as a group CFO. So I had to set up the single family office for the promoters of the businesses that I managed, right? And so what that meant was that I had to work with experts abroad.
I can understand.
Right? So it was a learning and doing journey for me. So, and I did that for almost 7 years before I eventually left. Now, this is something that typically is for wealthy families, affluent families, families of wealth, really. Before you can designate an office to manage your wealth. That's really what this is about, right? And I did that, of course, with a couple of other people in the team. And so that was really my introduction into this world of, okay, there's something called family office. And after a while, because I wanted growth, again, that thing, there's always wanting more.
You wanted growth or you wanted money?
Yes, I wanted money, I wanted growth, but I also saw a gap in the market. I saw that there were a lot of wealthy families who had no structure to their wealth, who had no plan, as it were. So they were doing investments, but they were all over the place.
Exactly.
Nobody was consolidating all of these things.
I'm sure you're enjoying this episode already. I would like you to take a moment to please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave your aha moments in the comment section below. We would love to engage with you. Okay, let's get back to the show.
Go and ask as many wealthy people that you know. Ask them what's their net worth. They will struggle to tell you. You know why? Because they've never at any point sat down to put everything together. I have one land in Banana Island, another one in Dubai, one in the UK. You don't know the value of these things. I have an art collection. I don't know the value. I have gold collection. I don't know the value. I bought stocks here and there. Nobody has really done any consolidated reporting to say this is the value of all the assets, all the things that you've invested in. This is what you're worth. Do you see? Yeah. So a lot of them don't know. Beyond that, I think it's also just the idea of really making sure everything is in one place. Having proper custody of all your assets. If anything happens to you, people should know where to find what.
Exactly.
Do you see? Now, beyond also sort of just managing the wealth, growing the wealth, is also the idea of wealth transfer.
Exactly.
Which people also don't. Yeah,
the succession is very, very critical. And I think that's what I understand. In fact, I think that's the greatest thing the family business advisor brings to the table.
Absolutely.
In fact, for me, it's the number one thing, that succession plan.
Right.
And if you look at the Western world, most of the multi-billion-dollar businesses today actually started as family businesses.
Oh, yes.
But funny enough, the Nigerian mindset is not that, how would I put it now, not that informed. A lot of people think Amazon just appeared. A lot of people think the Hilton just appeared.
No way.
All of them started from generational wealth from, as 4 or 5 year generations back.
Yes, yes.
A lot of those businesses.
Interestingly, I went for an event in 2019 by Forbes, that's Family Office Exchange, in New York. And in that meeting, of course, we were just two that were blacks to start with. And then secondly, what was very interesting for me was the fact that I was able to interact with families that had people in their 9th generation.
Wow.
11th generation coming to represent the family, and they were the ones running. It blew my mind. It literally blew. I was like, how is this possible? Like, can we do this?
Possible.
Can we do this? Africa?
You're doing it. You're doing it because
yes.
I think the greatest thing is the awareness.
Absolutely.
That there's a possibility, because I think people just think it's magic.
That's what we're having to do a lot of right now.
It's awareness.
Right? Because we just realized a lot of people didn't even know. So when you say, oh, I run a family office,
I
I'll be
won't
like,
lie.
what's
Before
a family
I
office?
met you, I didn't know that they actually existed for some reason. I mean, to this extent. I know that people will consult. I understand the family business consulting in silos. So it's either they are doing the finance or you're checking your governance, corporate governance. But I didn't know there was a company that consolidates everything in one and keeps that company solid for now and into the future. And I think it's amazing that there's a wealth of opportunity in this space.
There is.
But a lot of Nigerians don't know.
You know what was even more fascinating for me was when I looked at a lot of the billionaires, wealthy families, companies that have become very successful. And I looked at their founders. I realized that a lot of them will be transiting in this decade.
Very soon. Exactly.
You know, a lot of them are in their 60s.
70s.
70s. So within the next 10 years, we're looking at a change, you know, wealth transfer, some new people stepping in actively. Of course they are, but the truth is a lot of them just sort of put that in the
bag, last minute.
As the last minute sort of whatever, like, well, we'll get to this, we'll get there. You know, but I feel like the people that have been very successful in other parts of the world are people that are very intentional about these things. Yeah,
the plan is already there from the beginning.
They just set it. You know who is succeeding you. Everybody, in fact, knows who the successor is. So you're already grooming the person. Not only one person, you're grooming multiple people, really, you know, and that sort of plan is what helps you to ensure that there is seamless transfer from one generation to the other, such that the wealth does not diminish. The wealth does not
die with a generation.
With a generation. What people understand in this part of the world is that once I got into a level and I want to sort of, you know, arrange my wealth, I'll do a will. But you see, what a will does for you is it helps you to allocate your wealth.
But it doesn't give you, it doesn't
give consolidate it
for continuity.
No, it doesn't provide for continuity. So everybody will take their portion, assuming the wealth is not.
I think you're actually correct. I think that's what most people have done.
Assuming the will is not even contested. Because we've seen a lot of cases of that.
A clear written will being contested, and at the end of the day, everything goes to shambles.
So at the end of the day, you see assets that are just lying idle
because they are in cost.
They're not yielding. Things are just deteriorating. The wealth is literally just dissipating. That's what we see, and there's a lot of wastage in Nigeria, in Africa. Right? And that is why I'm like, you know what? This is a gap. And we need to be doing something about this.
I really wish I could actually do your work because I know the opportunity is really large. I mean, I can tell you it's so large because as a culture, our cultural bias and our culture as Nigerians, we actually run a lot of family businesses all over Nigeria in any way and form. But people don't understand that there's a concept like family business that can move from generation to generation.
Absolutely.
And what is so interesting, the Igbo tradition, and I will bring that to the fore, they actually practice, you know, the apprenticeship structure, whereby they groom somebody who grooms another person, and so they are moving wealth from one place to another. But there's still no structure within those enterprises
even
that will keep them after the original owners.
As good as the apprenticeship scheme or structure is, I think what it does is that it grooms people, it builds
to be
people to be leaders, to be independent, to be able to also, you know,
make
build
their own
businesses,
wealth,
make their own wealth. But for the original person that started building people, there is nothing that guarantees that there's going to be sustainability of his own.
So there's
a
big need.
So that thing just cuts across, whether you're Igbo, Hausa, whatever culture. I mean, we're Africans, and I feel like this is really just pervasive across Africa.
It's a lot. So where will we get there? Because it would be so sad to see the likes of Dangote, for example, Flour Mill, you know, a lot of Chalarams,
there were a lot of names. There were a lot of names in the
that
1960s,
if they are not here
70s,
in the next 20 to 30 years, that would be really, really sad.
It would be sad.
And even my business, what are we talking about? Even your business too.
It would really be sad, you know, because a lot of these businesses are really quite systemic. You know, they contribute a lot to the economy, a lot to the GDP of Nigeria.
Apart from even that, even the legacy.
Even the legacy.
What are you leaving behind?
When you were growing up, I'm sure you probably remember some brand.
Yes.
Those days.
They're gone.
That we can't see anymore.
I don't even know their names because they're gone. There's so many, especially a lot of them in the FMCG space.
Yes, a lot of the soaps, the sweets, the biscuits,
all
those things. We don't see
why?
them anymore.
And it's because we never, in fact, the family business advisory was not even, nobody even knew anything about that.
So that's
So
what we're doing
I
this
think
work.
we may have some hope, if you ask me, for the near future. There must be a lot of advocacy for this.
Absolutely.
There must be.
Sure.
I think it has to be bigger than you, bigger than us. A lot of more people need to talk about this. It's a discussion that we need to have. When you look at the foreign market and you see all the businesses that have moved from one generation to another, you see they have this pride. And you've seen the growth. You see the growth for the economy, the growth to their GDP, growth to everything. But we can never boast of that. And you see the Western world looks at us as they know it will end.
Exactly.
So it's a season.
Yes.
It's like a seasonal wealth, a seasonal contribution to the
exactly.
GDP. But why can't we just sustain it? Let's sustain it for real.
It's
so let me know,
work.
do you have any strategy? Do you have any plans? Or do you have an association that has for this family business office?
So interestingly, there was a summit that was held sometime this year by Business Day in collaboration with PwC.
Okay.
We were also a strategic partner to that, and a couple of other people. So I think that there is that awareness that is being built. Obviously, I think the plan is also to have some sort of council or an association where, you know, businesses that are family oriented, if you like, call them family businesses, and then family business consultants, advisors, where we can sort of come together and have these conversations. Because what I find that works in other climes is that there are several associations where people meet. In fact, you will find a lot of events.
So right now you don't have any association for family business
I don't
advisors.
see anything like that in Nigeria yet.
Oh, then definitely you have some work.
So we have to create something.
You have to create it.
Do you see?
Yes.
So we have to create something. So typically we should have a forum where family business leaders meet and they have conversations.
Yeah.
How are you navigating through this challenge in your family? Nobody is talking to anybody here. Imagine the likes of, you know, Shibomi Balogun of FCMB. Died, a prominent man.
Yeah, that's true.
Why is it that we didn't have his story documented?
You don't have a story of him documented?
How he built significant businesses, for instance.
Are you sure we don't have that?
I don't know.
They should have.
Because that's a resource.
A very prominent family.
Yes, that's a resource that an average Nigerian business should tap into. Tap into the brilliant minds of, you know, those that have done amazing work. Building businesses. Now, those are the kind of things.
I've seen a big job for you, Abiola.
You know,
this is very interesting. I'm sure our audience, I hope you understand the concept of what she's discussing. This is an advisor on family businesses, how to grow businesses to be renowned, sustainable, you know, live generations to come. And you can't do that by just talking. You have to do that by seeing people like her
and doing the work
that needs to be done. And I've seen that even in this business line, there's also issues or problems that you face while meeting some of these clients to say, I want to advise you to put up your business or structure your business. So what are these things that the hurdles you have seen all through the business so far?
I think number one, you've already alluded to it, lack of awareness. Lack of information. A lot of people are really just not aware.
At all.
But then when you provide them the education, when you show them references of different parts of the world where these things have been done, and you show the success stories, yes. So you see them light up,
yes.
Like, oh,
I think the first time I heard about it, I said, oh, so there's something like this.
Absolutely.
It's possible.
Absolutely. The next hurdle will then be control, letting go. People want to hold on to everything. So sometimes they have good intentions, but when it comes to now letting go, people just want to hold on to that control.
And mostly the founders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even when they have younger generation that are interested in the business, that letting go is always a problem. So you have the clash between the younger generation and the older generation.
Then when you have a family business, let me stop you there, that the younger generation is not interested at all of them, all the children, all the cousins, everybody, nobody's interested in taking on that business. So what happens? How do you advise? I mean, just this is an example.
Options. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we've seen it all too many times.
Yeah, because I know too many children now, they rather do technology than do your family
your
or
FMCG,
something.
Your manufacturing and all of that.
Interested.
I know. It's a reality because our world is also changing really fast. We live in a world where the families are scattered. even from the time that your kids are like maybe 10, you ship them off to the UK, to the US, they're going to college somewhere. Everybody is living in different parts of the world, right? Yeah. So the fact that they're even detached from the family business already creates a gap. Where, you know, it's almost as though everybody just finds their own world wherever it is that they're at. And so the fact that people are living in different places does not even help, right? And maybe also at that early stage, if you have not really also introduced them to the business, they may also not develop the interest. They will find their own interest. They'll find things that, you know, they're passionate about, and they'll go, you know, for it. So apart from that situation is also the tussle where the second generation or next generation is trying to find their own identity. They don't want to walk in the shadows of their fathers or mother or something. So,
but that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but obviously if you have not even really like gotten them synced with the business in the first place,
beginning,
they don't even feel like they owe the family any duty or any obligation to, you know, put themselves out to
so
want to take it. So I want to
believe there are other options that you can still have a sustainable business that moves from generation to generation, even if your direct relations are not interested.
So what we advise is, don't necessarily think of passing on the management of a company. Pass ownership. So the children can be owners. Yes.
Ownership
versus management.
They
can be owners. Yes. They can be owners. They don't necessarily have to manage. Because they may not even be good managers. Exactly. They may not even know what it takes to manage the businesses. So there are professionals in that industry, right, that can manage, do a very fantastic job. What you need to do is make sure that the business has proper governance structure. There's a proper board, the management team, everybody's solid. You have all the necessary controls and systems in place that makes an institution run like an institution. You can even decide to take your business public. Take it, let it IPO, and you cash out in that process. Maintain a minority stake in the business,
which some companies have done.
I've done actually,
even in Nigeria here.
You know, so the ownership of the business, you still have some stake in the business that can be passed on from one generation to the other. But it's just that you're not managing it. Your children are not bogged with the, you know, the burden of having to manage the business. That's a very
sensible solution, really.
Absolutely.
Because I know a lot of companies, and even myself, I mean, we're looking at, do I want to just finish, running the business for a certain period, then just shut it down? Because if nobody else is running it, you feel nobody else can run it.
Absolutely.
And if your children are not running, then we can get experts to actually run it and take a back seat.
Absolutely.
And I think that principle can be applied to as many multiple companies. Join us on Omon's Couch, where inspiration meets action. If you're a remarkable entrepreneur or a career giant with a unique story to share, we'll want to hear from you. Become our guest on Omon's Couch and empower others with your journey, experiences, and valuable insight. Use the link provided in the description below to apply for yourself or nominate someone who deserves to be on this show. Let's inspire together. It's possible.
What we're even helping some of our clients to do is to navigate that journey so that it starts while they're still active. Do you understand?
To get the people.
Exactly, get the right people in, institutionalize the systems, the structures, the controls, the policies.
I'm going to ask you a question now. What I used to see 10 years ago is quite different now. Because when you make it sound very interesting and easy. Looking now at my own company, I want to take a back seat. I want to have real top people in some top positions, whereby they are even CEOs of the company. So I'm not even talking about just GMs, I'm talking about CEO level and even above, if possible. And there's a struggle for that. People are jackpotting, there's jackpot syndrome, there's mentality, I can do the business myself. There are just so many nuances around. How do you even get these people?
It's not really easy. And I think it's not a one-day job. It's not something you do in one day. That grooming process takes time.
It's a journey.
And you must identify these people from the moment they even join the organization to say, this could be a talent for this. And you groom
And when you
those
don't have
people,
the talent, if you
have to source. You have to source for it.
Just keep checking and sourcing.
You have to. And then once you find people that look like they have their heads on their shoulders properly, they're thinking right, and they're ambitious, they also want to do great, you have to build them, you have to give them skin in the game. That's what a lot of business owners don't do. You want people to step up and assume the role
more than you,
but they don't have skin in the game.
There's no loyalty to that brand.
Absolutely. right? So give them skin in the game. If you find those ones that are really ambitious, they are willing to, you know, do more,
take the company to
and take the company to the next level, by all means, give them skin in the game, build the right structures in, let them know it's not about you. Because sometimes people feel like, oh, after all, it's really about the founder.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
so really, I'm just
even the way, the language and everything you speak in the company should always never be my company, my company. In fact, I don't think I would ever make that comment. And I think it's a wrong way to actually run your company, making it sound, it's a one-man business, but create an atmosphere whereby it looks like it's a multiple business structure where it's not owned by just one person.
I actually feel that the idea of even running a one-man business is a mindset thing.
Yes.
You know, if you decide that you want to build a business that is sustainable, that will move from one generation to the other, you must take out that mindset of I'm running a one-man show.
No,
it's not about
definitely,
you.
it's not about you.
You're so limited. Like,
but
how
I've
much life do you
that
have?
Mindset that I'm not going to be here for a long time. I'm going to have somebody else run this company, and I think that would help if you're transitioning to another level.
That mindset change is important.
Yeah,
Very important.
Interesting. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are listening. Please, there's an opportunity as a business advisor. Not saying I'm marketing it, but there's opportunity. We need more people teaching more families how to run their business. We need to have sustainable businesses. We need to be able to, you know, grow our business from one generation to another. We need to have, like, say, 9 generation, as you mentioned, 9 generation business.
I'm really looking
forward
to that.
I don't think I can tell if we have more than 2. Sitting down here, I can't say that we have more than 2 generations business in the entire Nigeria as a whole.
That's a much
Africa, I have no clue. But here in Nigeria, I don't think we have more than 2. Am I correct?
That's the much we've seen. Really.
That's the much you've seen.
Yeah.
I don't think you've even seen a 3rd generation.
No.
Can you imagine that? That is really, really sad. I'm just hoping that this show would actually give people the idea that we need to do something, and we need to be able to sustain ourselves for generations to come. So that brings me to another question. How have you been able to do all this, everything, and balancing your family, your children, your life, your work? How have you been able to do that?
You know, there's that thing where people always talk about work-life balance. I don't think I'm balancing anything, really. I'm
just doing.
I think for me, it's really about choosing my priorities per time.
Per time, yes.
Right? There was a time where it was all about work, and that's all I do.
Yes.
And then when I started having kids, I had to sort of, create
balance
room and everything. So for me, I think I choose my priorities per time, and I focus on my focus. I try to, I tell people, I take myself very seriously. And what that means is that my time is super important, you know, because I feel like it's a resource you can't replace.
Yeah, once the time is gone, it's gone.
So I put monetary value to my time. So if I'm sitting with you and I'm talking for 30 minutes, that 30 minutes in my head, there's a dollar figure to it. I'm not that
crazy. I know people say this, but I'm not that crazy at all when it comes to...
So, you know, so there is phone time, right? Yeah. And I would tell myself, this is fun time, we're just playing. Yes. But if I'm sitting and I'm engaging somebody, when the talk is becoming too long, my head begins to calculate.
When you're engaging in let's just put it in perspective.
Like a chit chat.
Like for fun or for, you know, like work.
Not just work. So if it is work, I understand this is work. But somebody is engaging me and they're going on and on and it's not stopping. I'm like, dude.
You're cracking your dollars.
So, before even Calendly became a thing, I used to schedule my time. Do you see? Because I know there is family time, there's work time.
Is definitely.
So I think that having mastery,
you have to,
having mastery of my time has actually helped me to be able to wear many hats. I've also been able to make a lot of room in my life to be able to accommodate all the things that I'm passionate about. I also have my hands in quite a number of things.
I know.
I'm invested in quite a number of businesses as well. High growth businesses that I also sort of mentor and ensure that they're making money. Right? So for me to be able to do that, it meant that I have to be able to schedule things properly.
So it's a big deal that you're even here because your
big
time,
deal.
You have to pay your dollars for every minute you're here.
Big deal.
You hear that? She's giving you wealth of knowledge. Please take it because it's for free.
So, and another thing I do is I delegate. I delegate a lot. Not everything. There are things that I know I'm the only one that can do it.
Yes.
And so I do those things. But the things that I know that there is somebody else
to do it,
I'm happy to do. I'm not one of those things that will be like, oh, they will not do it well. They will do
it well.
I will teach them.
And if they fail, what do you do?
We will correct it. And then you do it again.
Correct?
Well, if it is something that critical, then I know that I must take it on.
Yes,
or I have to be involved, you know, supervising, being a bit hands-on. But if I judge what I'm giving her and it's something that nothing will spoil now. I mean, worst case, we'll redo it.
Interesting.
But, you know, before I would even delegate, I would delegate according to what I feel that the person can do. Do you see? And that even involves both home front and the work as well. And then I negotiate. I negotiate at work. I negotiate at home. I negotiate with my children. You know, I negotiate because, I mean, it's this one life. I'm not going to die.
Life,
you know? So I negotiate for me time.
Yourself,
I negotiate for me time. There were times I would tell my kids, Mommy has to go away for this weekend because I just have to retreat and recharge. And I negotiate that with my kids. Like, I let them so they understand, they get it. Do you see? I schedule my spa time because I know it rejuvenates me. So there are things in my life that just helps me to just nourish myself and allow me to stay.
But you've been talking as if everything is so perfect.
It's not though. I drop
balls. One major problem you've had in your career or your entrepreneurship journey, any of them, something that really shook you to your core, or maybe at least shook you at some point.
I think I remember one. There was this audit I did when I was still in KPMG. I will not mention the name of the bank.
No, of course not.
You know, it was so tough. I was pregnant with my second child at the time. I was managing a team of about 13 people. We were working late night. It was really tough. And we dropped some balls on that job. I mean, my journey in KPMG meant that I was promoted every year. I was not only just promoted, I was always recognized with, you know, an award. In that year, I didn't win the award. You know, and I had someone who even had to repeat a level because of what happened. We dropped balls because I just couldn't cope.
Because of the pregnancy?
The pregnancy was something.
The team wasn't working well?
I had a son, and then this was my daughter. So my son was barely 2 years.
Wow.
And then I was pregnant, and I also had one or two of my team members that were not also sort of, you know, pulling their weight. So, and I couldn't get a replacement. So it was just too much, you know, for me at the time, and things just spiraled, you know, and
I can't imagine.
For the first time,
I felt like you're not feeling perfect.
I felt like oh my God.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had to extend grace to myself after a while. I just told myself, you know what, this shall pass.
It's okay.
You will learn. You will manage yourself better. You know how to manage people better. It was I think for me, even though it was a hurdle, it was a challenge. Oh, I learned a lot about myself.
Okay, about yourself.
Yeah, I learned a lot. Beyond other people, I got hard feedback, but I learned a lot about myself that helped my leadership journey. You know,
to where you are today.
Yeah.
Wonderful, 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 beautiful story. I mean, there's no story of success that doesn't have a story of challenge.
Oh, yes.
In fact, if it doesn't have challenge, then it's not real.
You should check it.
I would suspect a lot.
You should check it.
It's not even engaging in any way or form.
Right.
Well done, well done, well done.
Thank you.
And my final question would be, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to go into the family business advisory? How would they start? How do they go about it? Because I know a lot of people are confused right now. Because for the first time when I heard it, I was confused. Even till now, I'm still learning, but I kind of understand the concept.
All right.
Well, how would they go into it? What do you advise?
I think for me, it's about really just understanding what it is. Learn about it. Now, the learning is practical, hands-on.
Do they have to go to any school? Do they have to go to anything?
Interestingly, I didn't go to any school. I think my training prepared me for it.
Okay.
I mean, I was already a numbers person, a finance person, so I understood wealth management, right? I had a huge portfolio I was managing already. But beyond that, I also had a background in consulting that prepared me for the business side of things. So in terms of putting the right governance in place, in terms of helping the businesses to get more structured, I had that training. I think that people can actually develop themselves to acquire the skills, right? That can help them
while they're in their career.
While they're in their career, because now...
Thank God you're saying it, because a lot of people take those careers as, I'm just doing it to help, help the business. No, you're doing it for yourself.
No.
Because everything you have said today, and how prominent and how influential you are in this space, you've learned every single skill from your career.
Everything.
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 So if they understand that you're doing it for yourself, not for the person you're working
You
for,
go the extra mile.
Yes.
In fact, you won't wait to be called.
And you present yourself for opportunities.
Absolutely.
Within, look at,
Absolutely.
you said you started doing this family business within your business.
I'm telling you.
The coronation one. And that's exactly your core business now, where you are making billions of dollars.
Yes. Absolutely. So, amen to that.
Yes, well done. Our guest has said it all. For you to run a successful business in Nigeria, the business that moves from one generation to another, because most of the businesses we have now are just one generation, and before you know it, once the founder leaves by death or by voluntary exit, that's the end of that business. But we need to change the game. We need to change the way we see our businesses. Entrepreneurs, if you're starting a business now, be intentional. Be intentional in ensuring that from the beginning you already start looking at your succession plan. It's not too hard. You can actually just start small. Just start thinking of who do you think within the family or even outside the family that can run your business. Bring them into that business and start grooming them. These are simple ways of actually sustaining your business. Another simple one is ensure that once you set up the company, you have corporate governance. What does corporate governance mean? I know there are a lot of book words about corporate governance, but you don't need to go that intricate, or as long as your business is just starting. You can just have a simple management team where you report to, where they look at your finance, you look at your operations, and ensure that things are done the right way, especially when you're running an ethical business. So ensure you have some form of structure whereby you have corporate governance. Another thing you look at is the people you put in your business. A lot of us, and myself inclusive, when we are employing sometimes, especially when we start bringing a lot of young people who we know cannot even add value to the business. Yes, that may be okay for some time and money. Ensure you invest in the people that you bring into your business. Ensure that they understand the business, at least to some level, so that you can have some value for the money you're paying for. Some contribution, because as a leader of a business, you find out that you cannot think of everything yourself. You can't do everything yourself. Get shop for skills and bring them into your business. And one of the last points I would like to share is release power in your business for people. A good leader gives the team the leadership skill to actually run the business. So don't hog on to everything and feel nobody can do the work. I've been there before, I've released it, but sometimes it's a bit tricky. You release the power, and I can tell you some people drop the ball, but not every one of them. So keep testing, keep trying the waters, and I'm sure at the end of the day you will get the right one that will stir your company to the right direction to success. Abiola, we're going to the fun part of this segment now.
Tell me about it.
And I hope you're ready for the trivia question.
I'm here.
So the trivia question goes like this. Where are the ears of a cricket located? The ears of a cricket, the animal, or Crickets. The insect. Where are they located?
Maybe on their head.
I'm giving you another chance. That's an obvious answer.
Sincerely.
So if it was that, think about somewhere else.
I don't know.
Any other part of the body? I'm giving you one more chance.
On their head?
You still say your head. You're very stubborn. I said choose something else. And you still say their head. No, the answer is on their legs.
Really?
I never knew that.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm learning
I'm not even apologetic about it. I will never know.
Thanks for watching Almost Couch. I am sure you are eager for another inspiring story. So click here to watch another episode, or click here to subscribe. I will see you in the next episode.